Hey, Control, you getting this? Looks like you are. Well, guess what, Control? GTA 4 was released this week, and with all the brouhaha that revolved around it, we thought we'd take a look at one of the first controversial games and where the ESRB, that's the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, began, and all the bans that ensued. Come on, let's take a look.
Now, in Australia, in the 70s and 80s, nudity wasn't nearly as great an issue as it was in America. We had differing views on acceptable content. For example, on shows like Number 96, The Box and Prisoner, nudity was seen as risque but acceptable for adults, and those shows were considered graphic even by today's standards.
Now skip ahead 10 to 15 years to around 1991 and a rush of games were released containing more and more questionable material, which understandably was becoming a concern for parents. This became closely linked to the American invasion of Australian TV, games and culture, a trend Aussies were starting to become very aware of and slightly uncomfortable with.
Street Fighter was the biggest thing around, and suddenly the games boom was really taking off. Mortal Kombat made its way to Australia with a minor storm about its violent elements and realistic blood.
Suddenly, stories were making news about an ultra-violent Sega game by Digital Pictures, headed by Tom Zito and was directed by James Riley. The game was called NightTrap. Now, NightTrap stirred up a fair amount of controversy in the US. As CD technology changed the face of console gaming forever, the amount of storage space opened up nearly limitless possibilities to game developers, and they took many chances. Some paid off, others not so much. It was a time of experimentation in the gaming industry, much like the early days of MTV. People's view on sex and violence in music and games started to change the more real and graphic it got. It was decided that these games needed to be stopped.
The game was pulled from Toys R Us shelves in Australia on December 16, 1993 by the Office of Film and Literature Classification. It was in response to a ruling by an American committee hearing on video game violence. NightTrap was put through the ringer and condemned for the player's effort to trap and kill women. The game was also called shameful and ultra-violent. But by this time, the popularity in Australia was at an all-time high, mostly due to the controversy, and it became the biggest hit of the summer before it was eventually pulled off the shelves. In answer to all the fuss, Sega came up with a proposal for a rating system, and the ESRB was eventually formed to monitor games' content and rate it.
So let's take a look at what this fuss was all about.
Clear.
Clear picture.
I'm Commander Sims of the Sega Control Attack Team. Scat Mission 230. 5 teenage girls have disappeared after spending the night at the old Lakeshore Winery house of Mr. and Mrs. Victor Martin and their children, Jeff and Sarah. Right now, another 5 girls are headed towards the Martins to spend the night. Your mission? Protect those girls from whatever happened to the last ones. Now listen up. Last night one of our agents got into the house and found some kind of weird security system. Hidden cameras in almost every room and a series of traps. Our agent spliced an override into the security system, allowing you to have control of the cameras and the traps with this remote unit. Use the traps to capture any one.
You mean over there? No, Ashley, I think it's your imagination. Check out the book.
I am so embarrassed.
This isn't exactly what I had imagined, though.
Has anybody seen my shambles
NightTrap
bag?
plays out like a regular movie might, seeing it was in fact vented for a video cassette console called the Nemo. The girls have a really cheesy party and sing the theme song to NightTrap like Blondie on antidepressants. The idea is you have to maintain a good idea of what's going on in all rooms at all time, so you can be in the right room at the right time to set off the traps.
The family stays out of the picture most of the time. Every now and then, they get together on camera and say they're going to change the access code and what to, so you'll have to be sure to be there and hear what colour to switch it to, otherwise the traps will stop working. This means you have to play it over and over to figure out when and where it's going to happen. A notebook next to you to write down the times helps a lot.
What?
The Augs are here.
All right, I'll go downstairs and reset the access code to red. Oh, now what?
What was that?
The game definitely has its own unique style, and being able to control a bad movie is actually kind of fun. It does have all the factors of a pathetic cliche B-movie. These factors include bottom-notch acting, cheesy special effects and sound effects, and of course laughable characters. But that's not always a bad thing. The downside is you don't often have time to sit and watch some of the fun things because you have to be switching all over the place to catch intruders.
Go.
So that was NightTrap.
Look, it certainly is an interesting story. It's an experience. It keeps you coming back for more, and you'll keep coming back to have a stab at it. Excuse the pun.
But it's a great game. If you're an FMV fan, then it's one you should definitely jump on. It's an all-time must-have. But you might be looking at it going, well, where was the controversy in that whole video? There wasn't anything that made you jump out of your seat at all, was there?
In fact, there was absolutely nothing that would even mean that it would get like a M rating. Like, I've seen worse in Disney movies.
I mean, we've got one final scene to show you here, but besides that,
Yeah.
this is pretty much as bad as it gets.
And as you can say, all the stuff they were saying about the objective being to murder women and stuff like
It
that.
wasn't
that's
exactly
actually
the case at all.
game.
So, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week.
This has been another Strictly Sega.
Megan, this isn't gonna work. You're not scaring me. Wait. What are you doing? No! Megan,
I don't believe what I just saw. Those bloodsuckers just got Lisa, and you had a chance to save her. I put the lives of those girls in your hands, and you screwed up. I'm pulling the plug on you before you do any more damage.